Hello and welcome to Hattie the Creator. I am Hattie and today I will be creating some faces from everyday images and objects. If you're anything like me, you see faces in all sorts of odd and random places such as tile, wood grain. Sometimes I'm laying on the floor and I look up at the ceiling and I can see faces in the texturing that's done, clouds, basically anything with any sort of pattern or design, I see faces. Sometimes even in food. You look at food and it's making a weird shape and there's a face in it. So I'm going to be exploring some of those pictures and drawing 6 different faces from images. A lot of times doing these types of drawings, you create things that you would have never drawn in a million years otherwise. They are a lot of fun and I love doing them. So let's get into it.
So this first one's pretty straightforward. It's a wood board with 2 screws making some pretty obvious eyes, and this knot right in the middle is making a perfect mouth. It almost looks like it has teeth already formed in there, so I'm doing my best to follow the wood grain and stay true to the original image, and I'm using it to kind of fill out the form of this beard as much as I can too. It's giving me some nice detail around the eyes, some nice wrinkles, just with that original wood grain and cracks in the wood. Right now, basically I'm just doing trace lines, and then after that I do take some creative freedoms and draw some beard and some hair. I do still try to follow the wood grain for that as well, but it's kind of hard and you do need to create some of your own lines in there just to kind of complete the character. So I wanted him to have a beard and kind of some shaggy hair on top of his head, and he's kind of a fun little guy. Looks kind of like a hippie. What I love most about this though is it's just something completely new. Like, I would have never drawn this. It is very stylized in my style of drawing, but still just the character itself is something that I would have never just come up with on my own. For colors, to try to stay true to the image on another layer, I am trying to just grab colors that are in the image. So I grab a pink from one of the lighter sections of this painted wood, and for the beard I'll grab a brown from this crack over in here, so it's darker brown. It doesn't really look like it's part of the image, but I did grab it from that crack in there, so just another element of trying to stay true to the original. Now I'm just adding some quick highlights and some shading, and this guy is done. I think I will call him Hank the Plank, because he came from a plank of wood. How creative is that? But he looks like a Hank, right? Kind of looks like a wino, like a bum. I'll give you $1, Hank. For this next one, I am starting with this flower, and I can already see kind of a bird-like creature. This one looks a little bit more abstract, but I'll give it a try anyway. What I'd like to do is take the image and just fade it down, just turn the opacity down like halfway so I can draw right on top of it and still see the image pretty good. So I gave a quick rough draft, and now I'm going to go in and detail it a little bit better with a little bit finer line and take more time. I think this one is my least favorite out of all of the ones I'm doing today, but it's okay. It's still kind of a fun bird character. Looks kind of like a dodo bird from Alice in Wonderland. That short story on the beach where that walrus dude eats all the clams. Unless I'm remembering wrong, but it's what it reminds me of. Trying to make her a proper lady dodo bird with a nice fancy hat and feather. Although it's kind of a lopsided looking hat anyways. Time to throw some color on this dodo bird. Just playing around with it, having fun. Yo, dodo bird, what's the bird? Y'all gone extinct, haven't you heard? Don't you worry though, use a fancy bird. Put your hat on, even though it's absurd. A little bit of dodo rapping for you. I kept the dodo bird black and white for some reason, but I'm just gonna give her a little touch of color on her cheeks. She's got a little bit of that makeup on. Looking all pretty for them boy dodo birds, know what I'm saying? This next item that I'm drawing a face from is a sink. Looks like a bathroom sink. He's got the obvious big nose, and these eyes are a little more abstract, but I can kind of see these handles being big old eyebrows. And I like the circle right in the middle. It's kind of like an O face. Ooh. This one's already turning out kind of fun. I'm excited about it. Experimenting with different head shapes and how to finish up above his giant mustache beard. So there's this video on YouTube called Story from North America. It's an animation. You should check it out if you've never seen it before. It's hilarious. But this guy's kind of reminding me of a mix between the the old man in his underwear in that animation and the Ice King from Adventure Time. He's a hybrid of the two. The results of If They Mated. He's got long, stringy hair. Should call this guy the Majestic Sink Wizard. Why? Because it came from a sink. Me and my creativity. See, I can be creative when I draw, but when it comes to naming stuff, man, my mind is just dry. Trying to make this gem look all majestic and shiny. Throw in some oranges. Looking pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks for the gem, bro. I dig it.
You're welcome, wizard dude. It's so nice when the creatures you draw appreciate how you draw them. I'm gonna give him a little headband to kind of hold the gem. I was just gonna embed it in his forehead, but there's these lines here that are pretty stark in the picture, so I'll just go ahead and use those and implement that into it. And this old boy is done. He's ready to go rule his kingdom. This next one that I'm going to draw off of is a bowl of frosting. I like that it has these long flowing lines in it. I can tell already that I want to do some long flowing hair. He's got this giant grin. The lines kind of made it that way. Just following the flow of the drawing with these lines and making long, soft lines. Man, you can tell I'm getting a little tired. But this fella sure is a happy one. That's a big old smile. He kind of has some Native American feel to him. Looks like a little bit like one of the Native Americans in like a Disney movie or something. Pocahontas, Big Brother Bear, or whatever that one was called. What was that movie with the bears? Where they're Indians turn into bears? I don't remember. Profiles are pretty easy for me for caricatures and drawing creatures and stuff because I've drawn so many of them. I used to just fill out whole pages of different profiles doing that line challenge where you take a line or 2 dots. You draw 2 dots in a vertical line and connect them with the scribble, then draw a face out of it. And 90% of the time I would draw profile faces out of those and do them all over my sketchbooks and meetings. Just doing some final touches on this guy. He's pretty much done. Just need to do a little backlighting, make him pop a little bit. And I'm pretty happy with this one. A happy little Native American Indian boy with this magnetic smile. Just need to add a little bit of a red tint to his lips, set him apart a little bit. And there we go. He's pretty good. This one, right off, almost looks like something on the cover of a horror movie or something. But he's got some pretty apparent facial features, and once I start drawing on them, he turns less scary and more spaceman. I'm using these extra circle lines around his initial head shape to be kind of a spaceman head mask dome, whatever those are called, a big glass dome around his head. This one did have extra dark spots and things that almost look like splattering, so that's kind of what gave me the idea of the bug. And as I did that, I drew in some cracks, and then I wrote a little story about this guy. And that story goes like this. At first, the little astronaut thought he was seeing things. A blip out of the corner of his eye. Maybe a stray piece of space rock. But then, he saw it again. Movement! Could it be a real living life form in space? He used his thruster to get closer and investigate. Maybe it was the excitement of rushing to the groundbreaking discovery, or just a slip of the mind. But the astronaut gave way too much thrust, and by the time he realized it, it was too late. The small space insect splattered right on his glass visor before his very eyes. Then, the sensation of drowning, his eyes sucked into the back of his skull. He gasped for air, but none came. The impact had cracked his visor, and he knew that his fate was sealed with this poor space insect. Together, both the rarest of their kinds would perish here in space. I never said it had a happy ending, but that's the story. This guy's looking pretty good. I am pretty happy with him, and just finishing up and doing the last touches. This last one is a kernel of popcorn. Looks like it's dipped in some caramel or cheese or something. It's kind of got an orangey color to it. But it pretty much looks like a skull face already by itself. I do one draw over that I don't love, and then I end up adjusting it a bit, and then this second one goes a lot better. I realized I wanted to rotate it a little bit so I can get these drips and things and just get it at an angle that, you know, a head would be at if he was standing on top of a body. For this one, I really tried to stay true to the picture. The picture has a lot of details in it, and it's kind of cool. It looks really good. So I'm trying to stick to the lines and the highlights and the grains of it. And it's looking really kind of cool. I'm impressed with the picture. It's a really cool picture and a really odd piece of popcorn. I am using a smaller brush or pen tip on this one than I have it on the others too, just to get more details, because there is so much detail in this picture. Trying to make it look like part of the brain's coming out, because that texture of the popcorn kernel looks like a brain already, or like a skull or something. But trying to get looking like there's pieces kind of hanging out and some of the skull and skin still attached, holding it in there so it doesn't just fall out altogether. It's kind of a creepy looking popcorn man. And like I did in the first one, I grab a few colors out of this original image to try to stay true to that, even though a green skin might have looked a little cooler on this guy. But I just wanted to, you know, take the higher level of the challenge and try to use as much as the original image as possible. Add some spittle, like he's talking. I don't think zombies are very articulate. They probably just make noises and spray everywhere. Bleh. I love this stage though, adding the color. He always starts to come alive and look like a cooler character, a more polished creature. And with that, this one is done too. So now I am going to show the original images of all 6 and get a good before look. And here is what we turned them into. So 6 creatures or drawings I would have never drawn otherwise.
The images that I am drawing from are from collaborators on hitrecord.com in a collaboration called The Faces Within Places. Thank you to them for submitting those pictures and letting me draw on them. I had a lot of fun doing it, and this was a great creative practice. I recommend this for anybody who wants to exercise their creative brain and challenge themselves into drawing something that they wouldn't normally draw. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you later.